My first solo trip. So I moved to the Netherlands about 7 months ago, and that's kind of when I didn't really see it as solo travel. I was moving. That's not traveling really. That's just moving. So never saw it that way, but I was moving to Europe so that I could use the Netherlands as a launcher pad to travel to all the other different countries in Europe in a few years, and then figure it out after that. I don't know what comes after that. Yeah, I quickly realized, hold up, all my travel homies back in the crib, they back in the States. And then I was like, oh shit, here we go. And that's when I realized, all right, I gotta do some solo travel. But I guess the point here is, no matter who you are or where you're going, your first solo travel trip is gonna be intimidating to some degree. That degree depends on the person and their experience in life, but it's just gonna be some unknown factors, and we fear the unknown. It's human nature, and really that fear is just you stepping out of your comfort zone, which is a great thing for many reasons. There's a lot of benefits to doing that, and I've become a pro at stepping out of my comfort zone. I do it all the time. But I guess that's the first step to solo travel, is just getting your head wrapped around the fact that overwhelming, intimidating feeling that you feel inside, just the idea of it, it's natural. It's human nature, stepping out of your comfort zone, and that's a good thing. You should feel that, and you gotta attack that head on. You can't let that withdraw you. But more importantly, there are ways to minimize those overwhelming feelings. It's just a couple of things that you gotta remember to keep in mind, and it's all in the planning of the trip. I'm about to go over that for y'all right now. Let's go. So there are a couple of questions you gotta ask yourself before you make your first solo travel trip. First one, is there a language barrier to the place you wanna go to? And honestly, if you're watching this, you probably speak English, and you should know that if you speak English, you're good in a lot of places. It's like a universal passport. So definitely in Western Europe, you're straight. You can get around fine. Not in every country is everybody gonna be able to speak English, but you can get around just fine in Western Europe. If somebody doesn't know and you talk to them, they'll either say, I don't know, or they'll point you to somebody that does know, especially if you're in an establishment. Somebody usually speaks. If not, just tell them what you want. Point at something like a menu, like the direction, what are you looking for. You can say the name of something. You're fine. If you speak English, you're good. But at this point, there are a lot of countries that you probably won't be good in that's not in Western Europe. And even if that's the case, I wouldn't let that stop me at this point. But I've made a lot of solo trips, so I know how to get around and how to not get overwhelmed by the situation. So for the first solo trip, I would definitely suggest somewhere where you don't have a huge language barrier. Just, there's a lot of places to choose from, and a lot of amazing places. So you'll be all right there. So the second thing to think about is the general safety of that area. And to be honest, the safety level may change depending on who you are. For instance, a woman might have a different level of safety. She might be less safe than a guy solo traveling in a certain area. And same for a black guy versus a white guy, or vice versa. So it just depends where you are and who you are. So definitely do some research on just, race relations or on gender safety in different places. Not to scare yourself, but just to prepare yourself, because you just never know, and you'd rather be ready. There's no reason not to be. We have all the tools and resources in the world, so just prepare yourself before you go anywhere, and you won't get surprised. Hopefully. Okay, and lastly but not leastly, the moolah. Just do your research before you go. It's not hard to do it, but you gotta look up things, how much it generally costs to eat, to get around, how much it costs for transportation, what the main mode of transportation is there. If you want to be taking trains, buses, if it's a very walkable city, it's very important to know there's no money there, so it's always a good thing if it's a walkable city. But you might just be taking Ubers everywhere. You never know. So you just gotta know. You just gotta do your research before you get there. So the first thing that I always do, thinking about costs and planning a trip, is look at the flights. Look at the flight schedule. That's really how I decide where I want to go in general. I do it based on the best flight, the cheapest flight, around the time that I want to go travel. So, what I do, I go to Google Flights. I just go to I have my departing airport, Amsterdam, my arriving airport, I leave it blank, and I just pick some dates that I want to travel. Might be one weekend, April 9th to the 13th. And then what happens, a list of different cities pops up and it shows the price for that weekend, the lowest price, and you can just look at the whole list like, oh shit, I can go here, I can go here, I can go here, instead of just picking one place and looking at the different prices for different dates. That kind of takes you out of the game. Like it limits you. And this way, you just pick a date and then you see all the cheapest flights to different places. Then you can look at the places like, okay, that place looks kind of cool in the picture. Let me look a little deeper. And then you do all the other research, the cost, the safety, the language barrier. And then you can implement all those things I was just telling y'all about before. First thing you want to do, base it on the flight. Cheapest flight around the time that you want to travel. And you can make it happen. You can make a great trip happen just based off of that. And I'd say for lodging, especially if you're solo traveling, my favorite thing to do is staying in hostels, especially youth hostels. So the great thing about youth hostels, if y'all don't know, first of all, youth hostels are pretty much low budget hotels. No, they're more like dormitories. They're more like college dorms. And and legit, you could be staying in a dorm with 4 people. You could be a bunk bed on each side, 2 people on each side of the room. Or you can be staying in a 16, 24 person bunk area. It looks like a shelter full of bunk beds, mixed gender, could be single gender, but you can choose, of course. You can also get a private bunk or a private dorm room, and that's usually a little more expensive, but way cheaper than a hotel. So I love youth hostels for that reason. That's just one reason I love it. That's not even the main reason. Way cheaper than hotels or Airbnbs. But the main reason is you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are your age, and just a bunch of just lone, wandering, strange travelers like yourself, just trying to have a good time. And it makes it so much better to have that. Planning for things to do when you go to a new city. That's definitely key for some people. Who, me? Man, I be wandering, so it don't really matter for me. It depends on the place, but I usually have a handful of things that I want to see in the city. Make a list, and it might be a museum, it might be a park, I don't know, it could be a restaurant. As long as I see those things, I'm good. But throughout the day, it's not like I'm just going from that place to that place to that place. I'm not just on a hit list. I'm more so aimlessly wandering, but in one way or another, I'm making my way to those places on my hit list. But it's never just 1, 2, 3. I gotta hit one by one by one. No, it's I'll get there when I get there. And honestly, I'm pretty laissez-faire about most things. Even if I don't, then I won't. And it's all good. Alright, so now you're ready to start your first solo trip. Proud of y'all. Kudos to y'all for taking the first step, getting out of your comfort zone, And man, more power to you. I hope you enjoy your trip, and I hope that this helped in some kind of way for you. So, stick to the script. Remember that always, and just remember that that overwhelming feeling is normal. It's natural. So, enjoy your trip, and I'm gonna see y'all on the other side. I can't wait to hear how it goes. So, I appreciate y'all watching this episode of Afro Wonders, and if y'all liked it, hit that thumbs up. If y'all haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment for something you like, something that you want to see, and make sure to hit back. So, nice talking to y'all, man. Until next time, catch y'all. Peace.